What's up, everybody? I'm Metal Nick,
I'm Jeff Grindstoffer.
and welcome to episode number 42 of Vinyl Bang. Jeff, do you want to introduce today's guest?
Today on Vinyl Bang, our very special guest is a good friend of Nick and I's. We have known Scott for several years online. Scott and I met, what was it, 2016, 17?
Sounds about right.
Somewhere in that area. Brick. Yeah, brick by brick. Yeah. I flew out to San Diego to hang out with, to go out to see Kettle Decapitation. And I forget who else was on that tour. There was Artificial Brain.
Revocation.
Yeah.
Revocation. Yeah, they did play that show.
But
anyway, Scott and I have hung out once, and it was an awesome experience. Upon having Scott on the show tonight, I'm really hoping that we don't mention Cattle Decapitation, but seeing the flag behind him, I'm pretty sure we've already kind of gotten into that where we've already brought up cattle. But yeah, Scott is a good friend of ours. He has been a supporter of the show since day one, and I am excited to see what vinyl you bring to us, because following your social media, you get a lot of vinyl.
I do. Way too much. Just ask the missus.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that conversation because my missus is just glad she's not here.
Mrs. Grindstoffer.
Mrs. the Grindstoffer. Yeah, she has a lot to say about this.
Yeah. Mine's in my dining room.
Ooh.
All of my wax is in the dining room. I'm in a pretty small apartment, so it's slowly taking over. Pretty soon I'll have stuff in the oven.
Well, let's hope it doesn't get to that point too soon.
Definitely not.
No. Warped records only in the oven.
Warped records only.
Well, cool, Scott. Yes, like Jeff was saying, we've known Scott for a couple of years. At least there's a little, like I've mentioned before on the show, there's a little private chat with us and Mr. Travis Ryan and another fellow Dylan. I believe he's from Australia, but there's a lot of vinyl and merch talk in that group. But like Jeff says, like for years now, Scott's always just talking about or showing off what he's got, and it's just like it sounds like Jeff's got some competition here. But yeah, I'm very excited to have you on the show today, because I can only imagine what awesome records you brought with you, and we'd love to let's get started on this and see what you got.
Sure. Well, I know this one is going to make Jeff envious, because I mentioned it before somewhere in the comment section or something, and this is the county medical examiners.
Oh yeah, dude.
The do not request clear.
Oh God, that's sick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I figured I'd start that off with a vinyl bang.
Indeed.
Oh,
yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. I definitely called dibs on that. Like if it ever gets to the point where you're putting ovens in the record or records in the oven and you're getting rid of stuff. Hit me up. I want that, man. That's rad.
And that's literally the only Relapse do not request clear that I own. Is that one?
Oh wow.
So well, that's a little side note.
That's a hell of one to own. Of the one Relapse clear, man. That's how. May I ask how you acquired that?
I believe there was some mention of it on a board or something or other, and it was listed, and it came directly from Relapse.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like an eBay thing, and I just happened to right place, right time, and snapped it up, and it wasn't crazy expensive. I think $35-ish, something like that.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how that came about.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you want me to keep rolling here?
Sure. Absolutely.
So just what I kind of did was I kind of pulled some stuff, kind of a not, to forego, because I'm an older gentleman, so just kind of a walk through some of my odd tastes, going back to, I'll forego all the Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and all that stuff, but um, I have I have an interest in a lot of sci-fi, metal, progressive, death, stuff like that. So let's get this going. This is nothing particularly. I'm sure most people have seen this. This is a repress, so nothing crazy. But Nocturnus, the Key, Earache, reissue. Just the black vinyl on this, but the black vinyl is it plays the same. In fact, better depending on who you talk to. So, but
Yeah.
I love, that's one of those first that it's weird, you know, a drummer singing, Mike Browning, playing his ass off, octobands, you know, all of that crazy stuff. The storyline for that record with basically the Terminator script with a cyborg going back in time to kill baby Jesus to prevent Christianity from happening. I mean, that's just a wild, conceptually, it's amazing.
That's what this album is, the Nocturnus
Yeah, the
album?
Key. Yeah, Nocturnus, the Key. That's the concept of that album. It's a sci-fi, anti-Christianity thing. And Mike, original Morbid Angel founding member. So that's how that kind of went. So
that's an
without
interesting
airing
concept.
people's dirty laundry, huh?
That's an interesting concept. You don't hear about anything like that.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, a cyborg going back in time to kill, instead of like the John Connor thing, to kill baby Jesus. There's a song called Destroying the Manger. So that's what it basically is kill Christ in infancy and prevent, you know, the fallout of, you know, Christianity. So
all right.
Just a gnarly concept and way above its time. Keyboards in death metal was really unheard of at that time, and still, you know, kind of is. People have strong opinions on that both ways. So
sure.
But anyway, I'll keep it going, keep it moving. This is another one that's probably really familiar. Is Cynic Focus.
Nice.
Also super groundbreaking. Also not an original. Just I had to let the original go a while back, but this is the orange. I don't know if they call it anything special, but just an amazing record. Similar to Nocturnus with just originality, the vocoder, you know, kind of metaphysical kind of stuff. Lyrically, things that you'd never really heard of before. Veil of Maya, I believe that's where the band got their name from.
Sure.
So, and I also have the recently released, I think this is last year, there's a purple cover, and I have the silver. This is a full remaster. It's kind of clear marble gray-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I'd pull both of those.
Let's do that artwork again. The artwork is different for that, right, than the original?
Yeah. It's kind of a resized. Take it out of the sleeve there. See if you can.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Refocus.
Yeah, cool. Refocus. Yeah, it's just it's a complete 200 copies on that one. So
I'm sure those are all long gone. I'm sure they were gone.
Probably. They did a bunch of different I believe there was one that they did a silver one, a purple one, I think a blue one. there was a few different variants of that.
Mhm.
So,
Oh yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
but just great stuff. Lyrically, it's very introspective, very different than your typical, the satanic leaning stuff, death metal, like gore, all of that stuff. So
Right.
I just kind of, and keeping in that vein, let's go with, again, uh, my personal favorite, the second Atheist album.
Awesome. I love that.
Unquestionable Presence. That's the shirt, the whole thing. Saw them the last time they came through. I missed them a few times with Cattle, but ended up catching it. Also, just standard black. We'll get into the cool color, rainbow sprinkle stuff later. But again, stuff with like sci-fi. That's kind of lately. I've really dove back into a lot of that type of stuff. The sci-fi, spacey, space rock. Blood incantation. I got a blood incantation coming up here in a bit, but that whole subgenre of death metal with spacey atmosphere vibe and whatnot.
Sure.
No,
They're
the Unquestionable Presence is such a great album, start to finish.
Yeah.
Just the oh man, some of those solos in that record just really hit home. So I'm glad you broke that one out. That's a cool
Yeah,
one.
and seeing them live with the current lineup is, I mean, they do not miss.
Mhm.
It's jaw dropping start to finish with their set. I mean, everything that they do, every tour, people are just, they're smacked in the head with how incredible it is.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
I mean,
Yeah, they're rad live.
I've yet to see a bad review of them live, so
Mhm.
pretty incredible. So, this one is sort of unique. I believe this is the first time this ever went on vinyl. This is Frederick Thorndall's Special Defects.
Yes.
This one is because I had both the lacquer cut and the direct metal cut, and I went back and forth before ultimately deciding to sell one of those, and I decided to go with the direct metal cut just because I felt like that sound, a more sharper sound, just fit the material a little bit better.
Mhm.
That was just what I heard anyway. But this is, again, it's black vinyl. I believe it's 180 gram. Um, there was a long wait for these.
Yep.
But they are, and at one point mastered at 45, so it's a double LP. But man, the jazzy, that's the other thing is, that's a thing that people throw around, jazzy this, jazzy that. But this is definitely jazzy. But
It's a little
I
of
love
everything.
this record. What's that?
It's a little of everything. I remember
Yeah.
back in like the early 2000s when somebody played that for me the first time and they told me who that was. I was like, no. And
Mhm.
it was just unreal. But I do remember pre-ordering both of them. I still have both copies, and I do remember waiting almost a year.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
maybe a little over a year actually, but it was brutal because I was in like a metal vinyl group on Facebook, and a lot of people were complaining in there, and they just kept giving you updates. I think
Right.
the what was happening was the test presses were coming back, and they kept rejecting them because the audio was awful.
Right.
So
And there was cassettes. I want to say they did cassettes and CDs, or maybe just CDs also. I can't remember if they did all three formats, but I do remember there being vinyl and at least one other. And there was some hold up with those also, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see more. This is kind of a. This is one of those things, kind of bouncing off the whole Frederick thing, but with a different band entirely. Kind of Luke LeMay's take on the Meshuggah Eye concept with, one song, one album kind of a thing, broken up into different parts. Gorguts, Pleiades, Dust. I have a note here. I'm not sure if this is the transparent orange guy. This is about the concept of this is the House of Wisdom, which is an ancient library in Baghdad that was destroyed by the Mongols in 1258. So that's another one of those. Like I love storylines, things like that, like a little more interesting, in depth. And I mean this cover is just bonkers. I
That
can't
artwork is
pronounce
awesome.
this guy. That I don't know. Bilak. The first name starts with a Z. It's Zbigniew. But he's done a bunch of this prolific stuff. But this artwork is absolutely bananas. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Gorguts, I mean, they're another band that just keeps elevating as they go along. I can't wait to see what they do next.
Brand new drummer.
Yeah.
Who's their drummer now? Patrice was on that album, right?
Yep.
Correct. Yeah, and that tour, and oddly enough, the last time I saw Gorguts, I was elated, but also disappointed. I met Luke, talked to Luke, very gracious. He was working merch. This was at the Decibel thing with Block Dahlia Murder, and they were supposed to play Obscura in its entirety. And for some reason, about 3 songs in, abruptly gets rushed off the stage as if there's a bomb threat. But that wasn't the case. There was something with flights, and they literally stopped it, like just a few songs in, and never returned to stage, and they just kind of moved on with the show. Kind of a bummer, because I was really looking forward to seeing that particular album in its entirety. Would have been crazy. So hopefully that'll get rebooked or something at some point down the road. But
yeah. That sucks. Yeah, I just saw them at Maryland Death Fest. I think they played like Considered Dead and early stuff like that.
Yeah, the early stuff. It's divisive. A lot of people don't. They kind of stop after the first 2. It's kind of the Metallica 4 thing or whatever, when a band, gravitationally shifts to something completely different. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll keep it moving along here. Here's a wild one. Not sure. These guys, New York guys. This is Big Will from formerly of Artificial Brain, Afterbirth, 4-Dimensional Flesh. Again, killer throwback type artwork. Looks like trying to remember who did Kishore Hollenbeek. It kind of looks like something from the 90s. It looks totally throwback, but this vinyl, I affectionately refer to it as the Irish Spring variant. It's mint marble is what they call it, but that's not nearly as cool as calling something the Irish Spring.
The Irish Spring.
Yeah.
that's a good way to reference that.
Yeah. But big Will Smith on vocals for this. Kind of jazzy, death metal stuff,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So
okay. I have to say this. I had not, or I had no knowledge of this band until I saw your post about the album, the more recent one, In But Not Of.
yes,
And I was like, okay, well, I'm intrigued by this. I want to check out this band, and it's a killer album. I have not investigated any more into their discography, so I was unaware that they even had another album. So that's what I was doing right now, was adding it to my Spotify, because I want to hear this. I want to hear that album.
Yeah, this one is kind of their return, because they go back to I can't remember the year. I'm not very good with years sometimes, but somewhere in the late 90s, they had another, and they just reissued that recently, which I also picked up because I had it on maybe cassette or CD or something like that. But the one that I just showed, the Four Dimensional Flesh, that's kind of their return, and then the subsequent album, which is also fantastic. It's just weird, that whole weirdo death metal, just because
Shout out to Will.
It's just different. And Will is incredible. Those the stage presence, the vocals, the gurgles, all of that stuff is just phenomenal. So
definitely
agreed.
Yeah, and it just kind of captivates my attention. So I guess
we fully support the weirdo death metal on vinyl things. So
yeah, good. Everybody. I don't think anybody, because like I said, being older, I think it's important to note that a lot of older guys, they kind of get the thing that everybody calls taste freeze, where you just kind of decide that whatever your era that you grew up in, that marks a point in time, and you either actively choose not to, or for some weird social thing, you decide, I don't listen to new stuff. Or the worst one, there's no new good music.
Right.
To me, that's nonsense, and it's a cop out. You're just not looking, is my personal feeling. So let's see. This is a band out of, again, sci-fi death metal out of Chicago, called Nucleus, with a very Voivod-esque logo. This is a Dan Seagrave cover art. Really good stuff. Kind of very riff forward. And then there's 100 of these. The nice. Orange, solid orange. It's very tangerine-ish. So that's a sentient. These guys, it's Unspeakable Acts Records. If you can find it, I highly recommend this also. I mean, just for the cover. The cover is insane.
Yeah, that artwork is awesome for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Seagrave when you see it. There's just he's done it again.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. That guy. All right. Am I moving along too fast, too much?
No, you're good.
You're good, man.
All right.
You're good.
Okay. So this is these guys, kind of German/US. If I'm remembering correctly, drummer prodigy started band with his dad, or his dad started a band and got him. But this is a particularly interesting record. from a band called Defeated Sanity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is interesting because it's like they did a split with themselves. So you have a Disposal of the Dead side, which is a brutal death metal record.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, this one, Dharmata, is more akin to like a cynic, atheist kind of throwback. So it's kind of an homage to both styles from one band. And yeah, it's incredible. It's like you get, you know, it's kind of like a reverse, what do I want to call it? A reverse mullet, you know, party in the back. This is party in the front and all business in the back.
Business in the back.
Yeah, business in the back. It's like a reverse mullet. So, yeah.
They're awesome band.
Yeah.
They are. I really dig their Chapters of Repugnance album.
Yeah.
I've seen them numerous times throughout the years. Great band. That release is not on my radar at all.
Yeah,
that's mind blowing to me.
Yeah, this is a reissue, and I forgot to show the pretty vinyl because I'm a knucklehead.
Come
so
on.
let's show that.
What are we doing here?
I'll show just one, but this is a dual LP. Check that out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's kind of
Dude,
that
that's rad.
merge, like clear with a purple gas cloud grape merge deal.
That's awesome looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I believe last year they did all of their record, the older stuff, they drop and they're gone immediately. They need to do like I don't know how many of those there are, but they need to repress more because clearly they can move units. So
yeah, they used to play Maryland Death Fest a lot, and there was a guy in the band named Christian, and he remembered me and my friends. Every year they would play, he would always come and hang with us. I remember one year he sprained his ankle really bad, but he was awesome. I don't think he tours with them anymore. Especially the last few times I've seen him, it's that guy who does the Chuck Schuldiner parts in the Death for All band.
Max Phelps.
Yeah. He's from around my way, so like I see him at shows a lot. So, but yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but before I forget, Max Phelps does vocal appearance on that cynic side of that record. So he contributes to that side. So, yeah,
nice.
Yeah, that's an awesome looking vinyl, and that's what I'm doing now is I'm looking through to see what different variants there are. There's a couple on that I've come across that are like I'm going to check that out and definitely look into that record because the whole
great.
concept
it's like
of that being both aspects of Defeated Sanity. Like I really want to hear that.
Yeah, it's a ride. You know, it's like salty, sweet. You know, crunchy, soft. You know, it's one of those deals.
Sure.
So, I guess continuing on here, this is another Big Will Smith thing. Reeking Aura. Not sure if you heard this, but this is quite a concept album also. Check this out. This is wild.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It's that cornea, I guess they call it. It's kind of merge, but they call these cornea something or other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good looking record.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Reeking Aura, Blood and Bone Meal is the name of this, and this is the red cream black color mix. And this is a concept album, or if you're ready, centered around the caretaker of a desolate agricultural property, and that person struggles with morbid psychosis.
Okay.
So there. Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty wild. Yeah, but it's another. I mean, if you like Big Will's vocals and all of that stuff and kind of odd death metal stuff, that keeping in with that theme, amazing, just great stuff. I have the cassette. It came out on CD first, and then it was a while before they pressed it on vinyl. And I think this is about a year and a half, 2 years old, maybe. Not sure if I'm right on that or not. Profound.
The 7 count 22.
Yeah. Profound Lore is the label that's on.
Cool.
So.
Before he was in Artificial Brain, he was in this band called Biolick, and I saw them at the second Maryland Death Fest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You've heard of them?
It sounds familiar. I don't know if I've heard the music, but I've heard that name before.
Yeah.
What is that like? Is it still like in the vein of all the other kind of projects? Because they all kind of fit
I've
in.
only seen them live. I don't own anything by them, but I remember it was kind of like death metal-y. If I remember, it was like a little techy at times, but
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of tech, I'm about to produce what I consider to be the tech death album, possibly of all time, if not of the last decade. The mighty Spawn of Possession.
Mm-hmm.
These
Great
guys
album.
do not miss. Oh, and I don't know if anybody heard, but this entire band, minus Henrik, who is the drummer, is actually returning with a project called Retromorphosis. It's the Incurso. This is Spawn of Possession's Incurso. With Casey Howard, who appeared on Decrepit Birth. I want to say As Time Begins, and one of the other ones, also the drummer for Odious Mortem.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's effectively Spawn of Possession is coming back.
Cool.
Hopefully with something similar to that. Yeah.
Casey is a really solid drummer.
Yeah. He's up for the task.
Yeah. I've been fortunate enough to see him with Odious Mortem. I saw them live at Death Fest. Oh wow! Let's go back to that record.
Do that again.
Yeah, do that again.
Wow, dude! You own some good-looking fucking records, Scott.
Yeah, and this is the they did Artisan Era is who pressed. This is the first time that, aside from Cabinet, because Cabinet was done on Season of Mist. I have all of their stuff on CD, all of their stuff on vinyl. This one and Noctambulant, the previous one to this record, Artisan Era did the first pressings of those, and I believe they did 2 or 3 different variants for each one, and this is the Apparition variant. It's kind of different on the flip side.
Wow.
But yeah, mastered it at 45. Great stuff. Amazing.
That's a good looking record.
Yeah. Those are.
And the awesome itself is awesome. I love Incurso. That was my introduction to the band, and I love that album. It's great. Need to get that on vinyl, actually.
Yeah, highly recommended. That was the big thing, was like tech death that is not just, wankery, because that's Christian from Necrophagist was the guitar player for that band, and then he's coming back in this Retromorphosis thing. They just signed a Season of Mist, so kind of back to the beginning, I guess, that way as far as labels. But yeah, I can't wait for that to come out.
Fuck yeah, awesome. Man. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Speaking of Casey Howard, Decrepit Birth, but this isn't his drumming, but Decrepit Birth. Axis Mundi. Let's see.
Shout out to Matt.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful record.
Oh wow.
Just
Yeah, it
pops. Yeah, I think they did this there's like a yellow one too that I've also considered getting. I've played the hell out of this. But yeah, these let me go ahead. I think this one has like even more crazier. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's side 2 has a nuclear blast. Every now and then they fly out with some crazy ass splatter that just boggles the mind.
No, I love that. I love that band. Matt's been a homie for a long time. At one point, my buddy Chase was in that band. Casey was in that band for a little
Oh
bit.
wow, yeah,
But yeah, Matt's been fucking just. Anytime Decrepit Birth comes through, he always hooks me up with something from that band. But awesome dude, awesome guitar player.
yeah,
I've had a couple words with Bill over the years, but Matt's always been my homie, and I love that. That was a beautiful looking record, man.
yeah. Every time I think of them now, is I think of the last time I saw them, which was a handful of years ago, with Internal Bleeding and Arsis, and that's the show that Bill broke his leg, stage diving.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
he did
remember
a
that.
dive and the crowd just split instead of, why catch a man when you can just watch him pancake into concrete? So,
Poor Bill. Yeah.
yeah. And the show stopped and the paramedics came in, they hauled him out, and then Internal Bleeding helped out and they did a Cannibal Corpse. I want to say I Come Blood with Decrepit as the backing band. It was quite something. It was pretty cool. I have some video of that somewhere, but yeah, that was a wild one.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, poor Bill. All right, now for something weird. This, if you like pretty vinyls, I said vinyls. Sorry.
The show's over. Turn off the cameras. We're done here.
Yeah. This is Psy, the experimental Japanese black metal band.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So very good. This is probably my favorite one. I like their latest also, but this one in particular, I was so stoked to get this recently. I believe it's a repress. Imaginary Sonicscape. Just great stuff. But this Butterfly Splatter.
Cool.
Yeah, it is.
Those are nice colors.
Else. Yeah. Matches the cover perfectly.
I was gonna say, yeah, it really matches the aesthetic of the album cover.
Yeah.
Very nice. I've heard this band being kicked around, mentioned throughout the years. I've never taken the initiative to listen to them. Sell me on this album, Scott.
Well, if you like, going back to that weirdo thing, similar to Weirdo, I'm not really a black metal guy unless I have two separate brains with black metal. Either I like it straightforward, riff forward, Funeral Mist, Immortal, that type of stuff.
Sure.
Where it's just riff, blast beats, all of that stuff, or something like this, where it's a complete departure from the norm, the rules, the stuff that pisses off all the purists,
Right.
I've got
the ones that it's not. Yeah, that's an awesome album as well.
Trying to find it where I had it on my shelf. I couldn't remember the title of it, but That was a record store day release a couple years ago. So I walked in there and nobody picked up any copies. So I was like, yes, this one's mine.
Wow.
Yeah.
So okay. So back to the selling me on this.
Yeah.
It's black metal-ish, but not selling like it's not straightforward. It's just got undertones
Sometimes
of it, or
sometimes it's like
No,
power metal.
Yeah, it's got some electronic aspects to it. It's a
Nobody else sounds like this band.
no.
Okay,
Especially
okay.
they're one of those kind of similar to Gorguts. They started more straightforward,
Mhm.
and then they kind of moved the sound. They expanded the sound, got more experimental.
Yep.
Kind of broke the mold that way, and decided, well, we'll do what we want to do, how we want to do it, and kind of got into like more. There's some like folklore, some traditional
Yes.
Japanese folklore stuff in there, and things
Yep.
like that.
Mhm.
Some of the cover art from the middle period is like old samurai tapestry type art and things like that. So it's more cultural in spots too.
Mhm.
It's distinctly Japanese. So
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
I'll check them out.
I hope that doesn't dissuade you.
No, dude, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I like stuff that's not cookie cutter, mainstream, run of the mill shit. You know, just I want to hear something different. I mean, not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but just kind of fucking with it. You know, like make it.
Right.
You know,
And
I
that's
like.
the thing is, I like something that's a little bit of a. I don't want something. I like a challenge, but not something that's so challenging that I'm like,
Too much.
sometimes you get some try hard nonsense where
Right.
I don't really know exactly what you're trying to do, but I don't necessarily get it. But I appreciate those efforts with bands that try to push it a little bit.
Sure.
So, and to me, these guys kind of took me by surprise. Not something that necessarily I would have thought before. There's a lot of hype. White Ward, False Light, same label that Blood Us Nord is on, and a few other similar type bands. This is a Ukrainian band. They were caught up in the whole Russian invasion thing. This is Splat Beer. It's kind of
almost like a blood and beer thing.
Yeah, blood and beer, similar to some of the stuff that Relapse has done. But this has sax. There's saxophone in it, so it kind of gives you that there's elements of this band in this particular album. They do it in the other albums too, but it made me feel like I'm watching some kind of film noir, like old with the sax tones. Like I feel like I'm in a smoky room, It gives a real vibe, and I appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of it's a journey, So
I've never heard of this band, but
that's their third album. I have all their previous stuff. I started with this one and I went backwards. So feel free to go on that journey with me. And I would be more than happy. I have a copy of this on black that I will send you.
Oh,
an extra copy. So if you like, I can send that to you.
I'm not going to turn down a record at all, dude. That's rad. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I ended up with the black, because I had that for maybe, I don't know, some kind of, I don't know.
We've all been there, Scott. We all end up with records that we don't know how we got there, and all that.
Don't tell my wife.
Here.
Yeah, don't tell my wife.
Melanie's not in the background. I'm trying to explain, like, see, it happens to other people too.
Yeah,
records just show up.
Yeah, yeah. There is a Miss the McKenzie also. So The Miss Grindstoffer is not alone.
Sure.
All right, so here we go with the massive hype train with their latest album, but this one's a few back. This is Blood Incantation. Hidden History of the Human Race. This was the front cover of a novel from the 50s originally. It's a matte cover. I love, if I might talk for just a moment, matte covers to me are where it's at. Lose that gloss crap. I hate it. So that's my PSA/rant/whatever. I like matte covers. And then if you want to do a foil logo or whatever, then sure. But this is a first press Galaxy Swirl.
Very nice.
Super cool. The color palette is very spacey. I kind of wish that they would have flipped the labels because this has that, ooh, kind of, that deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, their latest one is incredible. But really, all of their stuff, I've been following them since the beginning. Denver guys, they're really cool. They like a lot of weird stuff. I'm sure people have seen their "What's in My Bag" amoeba post. So those guys, they're into anything and everything. So, and it shows in their music.
And they're great live. They were a great live band. I've
Yeah,
taught them a couple of times. They're
Yeah,
great for sure.
yeah. I saw them.
I've dabbled in them. I'm not real well versed in Blood Incantation, but yeah, what I've heard is great for sure.
Yeah, there's a club. I can't remember the name of that place in LA. 1719. I can't remember that venue, but I've only been there once or twice, and it's kind of like this old creaky warehouse church kind of thing. And I saw them there with Arizminda and Quickscore and it was a wild, like, black metal kind of forward kind of a bill, and they were on that bill and they rocked that fucking place. Like, it was crazy. It's like the crowd was pulsing. So yeah, I highly recommend that, because this is kind of where people that don't understand, because they did the ambient record and that kind of turns people off, and then this new one is a little more still experimental, but with the death metal in there. But I mean, bongos. They put bongos in death metal songs. So I don't know. I'm into it.
Wow.
So I highly recommend that.
Anything to keep it interesting. That's kind of cool, actually.
Well, and the other thing is, it's not contrived. So that's the other thing, is if you're not, to me, I think I've been around long enough, certain things like that, when you're really trying to, it feels like you're pushing something upon, like, you don't really believe it, it comes through. I'm not going to name names, but there's been bands that they try to go a certain way, and it just doesn't feel natural. Like, I feel like somebody might have gotten their head and told them to do something, and it just not. I mean,
wasn't executed well.
No.
Right.
Okay, so this next one, not sure if anybody's familiar, but Ulthar. My personal favorite from the $20 spin label. Ulthar kind of does a blend of death metal, black metal, screechy vocals, weird. It's kind of a cult. I mean, the name itself comes from Lovecraft. So it's, but these, this is Anthronomicon and Helionomicon. These are not, it's not a double album, but it is, they released them, I believe, the same day or a few days apart or a week apart or whatever it is. But they're, I would say it's more of a companion to the other, and the covers go together.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
nice.
awesome.
So this is Helionomicon, which is here, and then Anthronomicon, which is over here. And those records are also beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a good looking fucking record, man.
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so there's that one, and then there's this one. So it's got the complementary, like, inverse color.
Cool.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah, these are. I love purple. I don't know what people's what you guys think as far as like color palette, but I'm always a sucker for anything that's a well executed purple, green, or blue. That tends to be what I go after, unless of course it's cattle, which is I devour all.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I don't know that I really have a preference with colors. I mean, not that I'm opposed to, you know, one or the other or whatever, but I don't really like go after a certain one. You know what I'm saying? Especially like, you know, especially in the scenario where it's like, you know, this is all that's left. It's like, you know, well, I have to get this, you know, or whatever. But I don't know that I've ever really given any thought to the preference of color.
Do you think you have more records of one color versus the other? You think there's a predominant, like, I mean,
clear.
Clear. Have a lot of clear.
Black. I got more black than anything. No, I don't know.
If I'm given,
that's a good question. That's a good fucking question, though.
Yeah.
If from experience, if I'm given the option, and you know, if I'm one of those people who's like, oh, I got to get the lowest pressing one, but if they don't give you that, and you're looking at if I see something that's got yellow in it, that's usually like yellow with whatever splatter or something with yellow splatter. Those tend to look really fucking cool.
Yeah.
So I'm
kind of just a huge contrast of everything, because most people, like in your house where you're playing your records, I mean, you're not going to have predominantly yellow, so it's going to pop in, you know, where your listening area is. I mean, more often than not. So
for sure.
All right.
I'm gonna put thought into this now. I want to go through and find out which color record I am really like drawn to.
Yeah, that's a
good way to keep Grindstopper occupied.
Yeah. So here's from the I'm at a loss for who's what camp, but this is one of the Blood Us Nord guys. This is a cinematic kind of a deal. Urshetu is the band. That logo is unreadable to most people, but brilliant stuff. This is a France/Norway combo group. It's kind of a cinematic score with a cultural. There's another one coming out that's Japanese based. This is based on Mayan culture, so it's got a lot of the Mayan underworld is kind of the theme for this. But man, it's atmospheric. It's a vibe, as they say, as the kids say. So this is a beautiful. It's like jade, like green, swirly kind of a thing. This, when I first saw that, I'm like, this looks like that thing from John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. That green stuff that swirls in that tank. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Huh.
That was the first thing that I thought of. I'm like, Alice Cooper should have that color.
So that's the Prince of Darkness pressing. That's a good.
I
good
should give
comparison.
it. Yeah, I should give it its own name, like the Irish Spring press. But yeah, that's another one of those where it's a mood setter. It's got there's like kind of chants in that record. It's got a little almost like a, what do they call it? A rain stick, where you turn the rain and it's got that trickle effect. So
Sure.
it's very atmospheric. Good when it's raining outside to put that one on. So. And I noticed I didn't watch his episode. I'm going to have to go watch his episode now, but I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you talked about it. I'm sure it was mentioned, but Leon's project Lightbreaker.
Yeah, he mentioned it, I believe. Or I listed that as part of his projects, but yeah.
He only showed us his test pressing.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Fancy.
Yes.
Yeah, I have the blue and black. I want to say there's like 100 of these, I think. Something like that. And it's got the comic book companion piece in there, but this, again, staying with the theme, this is, I love these. It's kind of, again, to bring up cattle, it's the lore. I appreciate a band that brings the lore. There's a story, there's a concept, the art, all of that stuff. I mean, that's kind of what suits the vinyl format is, a good story and, and then can't remember if that's got that on there or not. Yeah, highly recommended. Like space rock opera is, space death metal opera stuff, spoken word pieces in there. So people who are adventurous, give that a whirl. So.
Sure. Shout out Leon Del Muerte.
Yeah, that is
greatest guy in the world.
Fantastic album. I love it.
Definitely.
All right. Here we go. Not sure if you're familiar with this. The Ruins of Beverast.
Someone just
Exuvia. Seen this one before? Heard it before?
No, I have not. No.
I believe Leon talked about this on his episode. Or no.
Really? Awesome. Yeah,
no,
it's like
maybe
a blackened doom kind of project, but this is one of those things, again, like the other one that I mentioned. This is kind of it's a transportive experience. If I was going to sell you on this, to me, this is like I'm going to visit a shaman in the jungle and take ayahuasca and go on a transportive trip is what this album is to me, without, throwing up and shit myself. So ayahuasca without the side effects of ayahuasca. It's kind of, I don't know if it picks it up, but it's kind of got a black smoke in it, but it's a real
I can see the black smoke,
deep red, blood red thing. But man, these guys they're something else. I mean, I've heard, people are, really boring live. And I don't know, maybe this material is not for the live setting. I mean, maybe it is if you're high, I guess maybe. But yeah, it's a wild ride, but I love how, I mean, I can zone out. Like I lose time listening to that album.
Wow.
I stand corrected. It wasn't Leon who talked about it. It was the other McKenzie we had on our show, Mike McKenzie, a couple episodes ago, talked about Ruins of Beverast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, you had another McKenzie? I'm out of here. I thought I was the first.
Oh. Oh, here we go.
So insulted.
Here we go.
All right. So let's get this going. This is I want to say last year. The old DHD black medium current. This was a lot of hype on this one. I'll spare you the vinyl. It's just black. I think they only did it in black. I can't say enough great things about this. Experimental, avant-garde, whatever you want to put on it. It's weird. It's interesting. I don't know. I'm not really doing it justice as usual, but quite an elegant piece of music here, and I highly recommend it. And I guess what I would say is the Dark Side of the Moon aspect to the cover is not by accident. So if that helps,
I believe
amazing stuff.
Leon absolutely did talk about that record on his episode.
Yeah, it's so good. It's really good. And then their latest thing where they flip their name around, Doa Deer, or female deer, Doed Mag Herd something. They flip the letters, and it's not the follow-up record to this, but it's more of a companion type thing. I have that coming probably next week as well. I was hoping to have it for this, but that's a wild ride also. So
oh yeah.
As is this. For you, I don't know if Jeff has this, but I learned that there's only 60 copies of this. 150 worldwide, but only 60 for the US. And this is from the female vocalist, formerly of Igor and that whole French Corpomenti, Worker, all of that stuff. Can't remember how you say this. Ricin, like the gas. Like the, something. Umlauts. The umlauts escape me as to how to say that. But Travis appears on track number 4 and is credited with Animal Cries. This is also a black smoke in a. This is an even darker red than that Ruins of Beverast record.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 60 copies of this for the U.S. So I snapped that up right quick. Kind of a neoclassical dark wave kind of a vibe. Eerie, if you're familiar with her vocals with Igor. If you're into that, you'll probably be into this. Do you have that one, Jeff?
That's what I'm trying to. I know at one point I did.
Yeah.
I cannot find it in my Discogs. I cannot find it, and I know for a fact I have that fucking album somewhere.
Yeah, all of those, whatever it is, the Oxozox, which I guess that's binary code for 69. 69.
Didn't know
those records are impossible to find too. They drop, and the next thing you know, they're $200. So all the Corpo Menti stuff, some of the older Igor stuff, there's just not enough pressings or something. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, I think whenever you go back to talk about your next record, I think I'm going to scoot across the floor and go see if I can't find it, because I know I had a copy of that on vinyl. I know I did.
Yeah, that's highly, highly recommended, that one. It's it's beautiful. It's beautiful and haunting, I guess, is the word that I'm looking for. All right, so I guess I'll finish up, last but not least, a back-to-back cattle decapitation. Everybody was waiting for it, so here it is. If I can get into it. Let's see here. There we go. So, as I pull this out of here, this is the Nessie pressing of
Awesome.
Death Atlas.
Cool.
So this is the black with red and gold 100 numbered Obi-Wan Kenobi strip. So let's see. Let's get this out of here. Technical difficulties, ladies and gents. All right. There we go.
Oh, neat. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. That was
Well,
beautiful.
that's awesome looking. Whoa, hold on. Back up here, which is, I just got back on. So this is what, Death Atlas?
Yeah, Death Atlas. And this is the Nessie pressing, limited to 100. The black with red and gold splatter.
Okay. I don't know if I'm caught up on the Nessie pressings of that or not, but that's an awesome record.
This is
awesome
yeah,
pressing.
that's the little insignia on there, which I appreciate. I love that the Nessie guy does the kind of stuff. Anybody that doesn't know that's watching this, if you can snap up a Nessie pressing of anything, highly recommended.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're beautiful and they sound
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Every Nessie pressing I have is and just to get back to the Ryson or whatever it is. Here it is. I knew I had it.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so good.
Awesome album for sure.
So
and I think I did buy that on the strength of what's his name?
Oh, Travis.
Travis. Speaking of Travis being on it, yeah, that's probably the reason why I bought that record. But yeah, it's just to go back to that for a second. Great album, haunting, beautiful, awesome project, for sure.
Yeah, the whole that it's something about that the vocal, something about her voice just cuts through everything. So. This Death Atlas, I mean, great album, but for those who are aware and unaware, when this record came out, the pandemic, all of that stuff, I was in the middle of a cancer battle, and this record got me through all of the chemo, all of the radiation, all of that stuff. Very important to me. Travis reached out during that period of time, and it was very meaningful. I mean, something so it's obviously it's a dark album, but something about that album really made my day better, as any good music does, and it's one of my favorites. And I'm one of the it sounds lip service, but to me, Cattle is one of those bands where each album gets progressively better. Sometimes that increment of how much better, maybe that window is much smaller as they go along, but I firmly feel the next record will be better than Terracite. I know it will, because to me that's been the pattern. For me, it's the pattern. The concepts, everything seems to incrementally ramp up to a degree. And so with that, my final one is Terracite, which I can showcase kind of one thing that I like to do, which is this is the Living Spirituality pressing, 215 of 300. Can't remember if this is the Euro. I think this is the Euro press, I believe. But Yeah.
Oh
The
yeah.
white with the purple. Again, the purple. I love purple.
Mm.
But this one was a bit of a challenge to get there for a moment, but nonetheless, I finally have it in my grasp. And to tag on to the end of the cancer thing, to me this kind of mirrors Death Atlas kind of mirrored what I was going through at the time, and Terrasite being its storyline is the reemergence of this deformed, thing we call Steve. um, that's that's me. I feel like I identify with Steve because now I'm currently cancer free, which is great.
Very
But
good.
my body has been jacked up and my back hurts like Steve. So um, it's one of those things where these two records back to back. I think even however I feel about any material going forward, those two in particular are just this time capsule of a lot of emotions and a lot of things like that. That
Mhm.
just it's what made me fall in love with music to begin with. I mean, I'm not completely. I can't say I'm a sober guy, but I drink very little. I don't smoke. I'm not really much for recreational drug use. I do on occasion, but uh, music has always been the thing that has made everything better, including the bad times. So
Mhm.
that's um, that's probably why I'm like the kid that gets lost in the storylines and all of that stuff that I've talked about before. Is that part of it's very important to me to be able to dive in, because this kind of music gets a bad rap of being something on the surface level, and I don't believe that and never have. So um, going all the way back to my grandma used to buy me Ozzy. My Christian grandmother used to buy me Ozzy and Black Sabbath stuff when I was a little kid. So shout out to grandma, rest in peace. So yeah.
Shout out to Grandma for sure. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
Yeah. So that's my small piece of my collection there.
Dude, and what a collection, man. You brought them out. Brought out the guns, man. That fucking,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot. I thought about so many other, like, the do I haul out the Dismember box set? But yeah,
Next time. Next time.
that's a little much.
Yeah, next time, indeed. That sounds intriguing as shit. Sounds like my Carcass box set.
Yeah, there's a weird story about the. Are you talking about the surgical steel thing?
No, no. A couple years ago, Eric put out like a Carcass casket or Carcass coffin box set, and
Oh,
it's all their first 5 albums pressed on clear vinyl. There's only 100 of them, and it sold out in like 20 seconds. And I
whoa!
remember I went on and bitched so hard because I had one in my basket and it just disappeared. And then he told me that like a couple people bought like two, so they like removed them and put a bunch up. And
Yeah,
I scored one pretty quickly, but yeah, it's a nice a thing to have. But the box is so huge, and like the records are like this small, the box is that wide, and like it's just poorly made by Earache. Just a good way to make some more money off of like Carcass.
yeah.
But
That's awesome.
check out the box set episode; it's in there.
How far back? How far back is that?
Oh, fuck. That was 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, so it's an early episode.
It was one of the earlier episodes. Yeah, it was like episode 20 or some shit.
I think it was the same episode as the Blake tribute.
The Blake Memorial. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah. That was a fun one for sure. But Scott, thank you so much. Some awesome stories, awesome records you shared with us today.
Dude, yes.
I'm really happy that we finally got you on here because Jeff and we sometimes struggle with guests, and we would love to have you back on another time because if you got more to share, we would absolutely love to see more.
Oh, I would love to be back. I had a lot of fun doing this, and thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Dude, we would love to have you back. Just pump the brakes on the fucking cattle, dude. We're really trying not to encourage that.
Yeah. Pump the brakes. Yeah.
Ease up a little.
Bring every pressing of everything you own just to rub it in Jeff's face if you can.
No.
Yeah. Just for clarification, that would be 253 current pieces of media for cattle.
Wow.
253.
Well, okay, Scott. All right. Okay. All right.
I think what does Dylan have both of them? And then Dylan, the third party in our chat, he's got like, what is it? The t-shirts?
Oh, yeah,
he's got everything.
He's got the merch. He's the merch maniac.
He's got me beat on the merch. But dude, okay. Here's the thing, just real quick. Last night I went to see Terrifier. Okay, I made a whole thing of it. I listened to an OG press of Terrifier on the 20th anniversary before I went to see Terrifier 3, and like I did this whole like Terrifier thing. Well, I've got into those vacuum bags that I've got all of my cattle stuff in. I've got all the shirts that I've collected over the years, and I was going through these vacuum bags, and I swear to God, I found like 80 cattle decapitation shirts. So if somebody wants to fuck with me on some cattle decapitation shirts, come on. I'm ready with the shirt competition. I got all about of you.
70.
All of you.
Yeah, you probably got me beat on the shirts too, because I'm somewhere in the 70 range for cattle shirts.
Yeah, I got them, dude. I was going through them like, fuck, I forgot I had this one. I forgot I even had this one. Like, dude, there's so many.
But vacuum bags is the way to go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Keep the dry rot out of there.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them will never get worn. Or like the very first one I ever got, the so many human, so few recipes. Like it's so worn out. Like I'm just like, I'm keeping this, but not just stashed somewhere. I'm gonna put it in a vacuum bag and keep it actually preserved. No more cattle decapitation talk. Let's wrap this up. Let's not kill them anymore.
Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching this week. Thank you, Scott, for being our guest and sharing those awesome stories and awesome records with us.
Yes. Thank you, Scott. Great. That was fun.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime. And we will see everybody next week. Thank you again.
Yep. All right. See you guys.
Good evening.